Greetings, Band Warriors. Greetings. Greg is back. So are you. Welcome to another impromptu live stream here in the Results Kill Excuses channel. I hope that you'll stick around. Maybe you'll feel inspired. Maybe you'll feel challenged. Maybe you'll feel bold and courageous to take on some new challenges in this new year, to face some fears like never before, maybe to give up some vices even. Isn't that a powerful thing when we let go of the things that don't serve us, the things that don't build us up, the things that don't make us better versions of ourselves? I really, truly believe with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my strength, that the whole purpose for every single soul on this planet is to individually look within and identify what it is and what it means for you to become and to be and to share the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself. Not the healthiest, not the most religious, not the most loving version, but the best. The best encompasses everything. That's what I've learned along my 14-year spiritual awakening, healing journey. Started way back in the day, hitting rock bottom, realizing that I didn't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything either. That's the beautiful thing. That is the part about this whole experience called life on earth, is you do get choice. You get to choose whether you want to keep doing the same old things or you want to try some new things, do some different things. And I'm here to tell you that through my experience, the more new things, the more different things I've tried, the more I've learned about myself, the more that I've given myself permission to experience life in such a fuller, deeper, genuinely authentic way. Because there's a lot of times before I started really, really getting serious about doing the inner healing work, right, I would just kind of stick to the script, right? I had my regimen and my routine, and Monday through Friday and the weekends and happy hours and after hours and holidays. And what's really shifted for me is I treat every day the same. And that means with reverence, with gratitude, with appreciation, with thanksgiving every single day. Every single day. Doesn't mean every day is just incredible and smooth and easy. It just means that my attitude about life, about all the circumstances, the ups, the downs, the twists, the turns, that my attitude is a sense of understanding that it all comes together for the greatest good, for the highest purpose of why we're here on this planet. And I've had some of the most incredible times of my life in the past 14 years. And that means the most incredible times of my life were in a state of sobriety. Total and complete sobriety. I don't think there is anything better experienced under the influence versus the pureness, the sweetness, the realness of experiencing everything sober. And what's so interesting, especially with and I've learned this not only through my own experience, but I've also coached many people that are trying to get that traction when it comes to breaking free from the addictions and getting into recovery. And the hardest part of it is learning how to do life without the chemicals, without the substances, because we're creatures of habit. And it's sort of like when you get rid of the thing or the things that you used along your journey to correlate with fun, with joy, with connection, with celebration, man, it's so hard. It's probably the hardest part. It's probably what causes most people to go into relapse, beyond just the emotional wounds that the substances numb out and allow us to just kind of do life in a altered state of being. Right? That's the number one reason for the addictions. But number two is just the society has developed a system that defines celebration and connection to the use of substances. And ultimately, one of the things I love so much right now, and I see it more and more and more and more, is that especially alcohol, right? The entire alcohol industry is collapsing because the younger generations for sure are not like my generation. I'm Generation X, right? 47 years young. I mean, I was formulating alcoholic patterns and behaviors, partying lifestyle from 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. And the youth of today, it's not really it's not a thing. They're not as drawn to it. I think it, and I believe, you want to hear what I believe, and my beliefs don't have to be your beliefs. Let the truth that I speak resonate, and anything that isn't in truth, let it just fade away. But here's what I believe. I believe that the youth, the younger generations, are more spiritually aligned with the ascension, the evolution that we are going through as the entire planet. Our current existence has run its course, and I think that's a really tough thing for people to sit with, to even try and fathom. Can you even fathom that? Or are you still caught up in the game? Are you still caught up in the matrix? Are you still caught up in the social issues and the government issues, and accepting that you got to choose between the lesser of evils, and that, corruption is only this side, not that side, when it's just everywhere. It's all corrupt. It's all rigged. And the reason why it's in decay is because the way that the current system is structured it violates universal law, the universal laws of God, like universal laws, which is, greed, manipulation of mankind. Like we're being manipulated, and it's only benefiting a tiny tiny percentage of the humans that are on this planet. And then you got the bulk of us that are suffering. And it's all a part of what's necessary for what I would probably consider the Great Awakening, so that we can truly enter into a true golden age. But it means that everything we know and connect with and have attachments with, and this may be shocking for a lot of people. A lot of y'all can't sit and listen to this because you're still just so emotionally attached to these things, to the systems, that you haven't yet like gone beyond the physical and seen the spiritual of eternity and said, wait, none of this makes sense. None of the ways the systems are working are in the best interest. And it doesn't have anything to do with, well, let's just wait 3 more years and we'll switch that up. And it's like, no, stop that. Stop with can we get through 3 more years and then we can switch everything and it'll be better. Stop with that. Really? Do you really believe that? I'm 47 years old. I used to be a sports fanatic, a political junkie. And from my perspective, throughout my adulthood, when I first started participating in elections at 18 years old, which is 30 years ago, which is wild. This year's my 2026 is my 30-year high school reunion. I can't believe it, man. That's wild. It's wild. That was 30 years ago. But in the past 30 years, as an adult, I've seen the pendulum swing from one side to the other, from the left to the right, to the right, to the left. And every single time that it swings from one side to the next, the people that don't have the power say these people are the corrupt, and then it swings back. No, they're the problem. No, they're the problem. No, they're the problem. No, they're the problem. And it's all just created division. It's been very successful in dividing people, dividing families, dividing communities, because that's what keeps them in power. Is if we're down here arguing about bullshit, we don't have time to realize that if the people that keep telling you that it's the other person that's the problem, if when they get in, they don't fix the problems, and I've never seen the problems fixed. I've never seen it get better. I've only seen it get worse. I've only seen more waste, fraud, and abuse. That tells me that everyone involved is the problem. They're all the problem. And if you're somebody that thinks it's one side over the other that's better, you're the problem too. And we need to get past being the problem. We need to start realizing that the solution to the problem is you taking your power back. Because I'm somebody that believes in energy, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. And so whether you fully support something or you hate something else, if you give energy towards it, and your energy means emotions, well, you are empowering that thing and it's draining you of your life force energy. And there's a lot of you that need to just disconnect, but it's scary, right? The nervous system can't handle it because your normal is having a dysregulated nervous system, right? That just feels so normal. It feels just so the way it should be, right? It's being dysregulated. And there's so many elements that contribute to that. And so I can tell you that throughout my 14-year journey of healing, it was 17 years ago, in 2008 and 2009, when the economy fell off the cliff, the Great Recession, and I lost everything back then. Everything, man. Man, I was rocking and rolling. I was rocking and rolling 2005, 2006, 2007, man, buying properties, built over $1 million investment portfolio of real estate in my 20s. And then 2008 and 2009 came and the whole thing just tanked. It was wild. I was like, dang, this didn't even have nothing to do with me, like being lazy, not wanting to work. Something, a power greater than me destroyed everything. Everything. And yet, coming out of that, I had to make some pretty drastic life changes because my family was, me and my ex-wife at the time, we were just starting a family. So we had my son who just turned 17. He was 3 months old when we packed up and moved back from California out here to New Mexico. And in the process of moving back, one of the things that I intuitively knew I needed to do, because everything was total chaos, and I needed to have clarity and focus to be able to execute a strategic plan that wasn't like planning to move and relocate back to my home state in like a month. We at least knew we had about 6 months. And so one of the first decisions that I made back then was to disconnect the satellite TV. So we killed the tube, because at the end of the day, I didn't have no time to be sitting back and being entertained, right? I needed to liquidate everything and anything in order to lighten the load so that I could successfully load up my family with our tails between our legs and start our life all over again. And it's crazy to think it's even been 17 years since that all went down. But the case in point is, it was 17 years ago that I gave up television and really investing in like sports and entertainment and the heavy dosage of mainstream news. And even though my device comes up a lot of times, if it's on socials, I unfollow stuff. If you're a political person, if you ever post political propaganda, I would call anything political is propaganda, right? It's only serving a single narrative, but the narrative is based on division. It's not based on love. It's not based on unity. It's not based on how do we come together? How do we help each other? It's based on we're right, they're wrong. And so if you ever share that stuff, there's probably a good chance that I unfollow you if we're friends, because I'm guard my energy. My energy matters. And as I just said earlier, where focus goes, energy flows. And there's a lot of you that have yet to awaken because you're still in a state of unhealed emotional trauma from your childhood that still is very active in your adult body. And yet, I know the reason why I'm here. It's to try and reach people, to shine the light, to try and facilitate spiritual awakening. And it's a scary thing for someone to sit there with a level of self-awareness and to be able to sit with yourself and question everything you've ever believed, as being false. Putting it through an examination, a real examination, an objective, scrutinized examination as to, is this true? And even better than is it true, does it matter? Does it deserve your anger, your hatred, your fear, your doubt, your worry, your confusion? Does it deserve any of your energy? Because when you do find the power and the courage, and ultimately it takes the clarity, mental clarity to be able to objectively, from a place of neutrality, step back, take in some deep breaths, ground yourself, and say, is any of this false? Maybe all of it's false. And you know how I filter what's true and what's false? I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but it's being recorded, and so there'll be an archive. But the way that I determine whether something is true or false is it something that is temporary or something that is permanent? Now, here's what I mean by that. Things that matter to me are things that are eternal. Things that I do not give my time, attention, or energy to are things that are temporary. And if you think about the physical world, there are very few things that are eternal. It's only when you shift your focus and your vision to what is eternal, which I truly believe is your soul, my soul, and every soul on this planet. That is what is eternal. Your job, your title, your accomplishments, your house, your government, your savings, the mountains, the cities, all of it. Physical world is temporary. It does have an expiration date. It may be far, far, far off into the future, but when you give your time and attention and your energy to something that is so temporary, I believe you could better invest your time, your attention, and your focus on something that truly will carry you through to the eternal spirit realm. And that is healing the wounds, awakening the spirit inside of you, seeing things with spiritual eyes, not with human emotions, but seeing the spiritual realm. And that's what I mean when I talk about breaking free. And a big part of breaking free that worked for me was silencing the noise, was disconnecting from the addictions to the news cycle 24 hours, 365, the sports cycle 24/7, 365, the media, all of it. I needed to create some quietness. And I have an incredible story. I've shared this a few times, but I have a massage therapist that I go to on a regular basis. And we were talking the other day, and something came up, but he mentioned that he had given up like social media and really following the news and even watching TV. And he gave it up, I think, December of last year. And I asked him, well, why did you do that? What inspired you to give it up? And he said, well, I didn't like who I was becoming, how I was showing up in the world. He's like, I could see it in my mood that it was affecting my life, not in a positive way, but in a negative way. And I said, wow, that's some really deep self-awareness and reflection to be able to even see that in yourself and realize that there is something that you can do about it. And what he chose to do is say he unfollowed all the news. He deleted all the news apps, started on just like me, unfollowing all the political stuff and just, the negativity in this world. Stopped watching TV. And in really a short amount of time, according to him, in 2 months, he feels completely different about life. Why? Because he has clarity. Why? Because his energy isn't being drained. I don't think a lot of you realize how powerful you are. And I don't think you realize that if you don't feel powerful, if you feel exhausted, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel anything less than like your best, like incredible, energized, powerful, unstoppable, optimistic, if you feel like shit, I promise you that where you are putting your attention, the things you are consuming with your eyes and your ears and your focus, you may not realize this, but I'm here to enlighten you, which means I'm here to just shine the light on the truths, is you are being drained of energy. These are vacuums. News, media, even it's coming at you. And what you don't realize is by you consuming it, it's literally taking your focus on it, takes your energy. And that's what gives it its power and its strength. Same thing with all issues. And so the way that you can break free from that is to shut it off. And if you would find it hard to shut it off because your ego and the logical mind is like, I got to stay up with current events. Like, what am I going to do if I don't know about this thing and that thing? And it's like, that would be perfect for you to not know about this thing and that thing. The world keeps doing its thing. I haven't watched any kind of sports or news or really shows in 17 years. Does that mean that I'm ignorant? No, I can tell just by people that I have in my feed when I am doing some scrolling. I can tell whether or not the world is still in chaos, whether we're still suffering. And the suffering is within. It's mental suffering, spiritual suffering. And there are times, I don't know, maybe once a week, maybe once a week, I'll go and I'll look at news sites just to see the headlines, right? And I'm somebody that I know what the opposing sites are. So I look at both polarizing sides. I say, well, what are these people saying about this issue? What are they saying? And I just take a pulse on it and I stay neutral. I just say, okay. Because here's the truth, is me knowing about a heinous thing happening on the other side of the world, me knowing about it. We have created such a false illusion that knowledge, we say knowledge is power. Well, it depends on what kind of knowledge we're talking about. Some knowledge is powerful, other knowledge is actually draining. Now, what kind of knowledge am I talking about that drains? Well, it's the information of this world, right? Things that are temporary, things that don't last, things that are not eternal. Those things drain you, they change you. And when you shut it off, it's like if your energy was like a faucet. Think about your energy as a faucet. And if you could be honest with yourself and really do an assessment of what you consume, right? From newspapers to news outlets to sports to world events to social media, what are you hyper focused on right now? If you could just picture coming out of the side of your head as like a faucet, everything you're looking at is literally draining you of the energy that you actually need to fulfill your purpose on this planet. You need this energy. This is your life force energy. This is the energy that allows you to truly step in and become the greatest version of yourself, to identify your gifts and your talents and to master those and then truly share it with the world, to be a beacon of hope and light and love and inspiration, not to add to the noise of despair and confusion and hatred and division. And it's like, here we are. Like, if this ain't the Great Awakening, it's, I mean, it's, I'm sitting back, I'm eating popcorn, just energetically tuned in, saying, I mean, where I'm at right now is peaceful. I don't know if you could hear the melody in the back, but you're never going to stop by my place and see me kicking back, watching a game, watching a show. I just, it's a waste of my energy. Watching the news, gotta see what's going on in the news. Like I said, I like to just take quick snapshots. But beyond that, right, I'm perfecting my gifts, my crafts. I'm spending time in nature. I'm living life. And I can promise you right now, most of the world sees a world in chaos, in turmoil. And if you're somebody that sees the world in chaos and in turmoil, I'm also here to tell you that that's a reflection of what's really going on energetically inside of you. There's turmoil and chaos inside your soul, inside your being. Because if you look out in the world and you see beauty, you see love, you see generosity, you see peace, you see harmony, that doesn't make you ignorant. Your focus is just on something else. And that's why at any given moment, equal and opposites can both simultaneously be happening. That's what creates the balance of polarity. You can have positive and negative harmoniously in balance. It's just up to you. This is your choice. What do you want to choose? Because what it takes for us to shift, to flip the polarity from mostly negative, mostly chaos and conflict, this is what it really takes. It takes more than 50% of the world population taking their power back, healing their trauma, and stepping into their highest purpose. That's what it takes, collectively. Each person saying, oh, I do matter. I know that the casting of votes may not matter, but if I heal myself authentically and genuinely, and I step into my truth, and I start to fulfill the purpose of my existence on this planet, which is to be a beautiful light, the brightest light, then your example is going to inspire someone else. And they'll inspire someone else. And it's like ripples in a pond. But far too often we think that it's funny that we think collectively our voice matters when it comes to like elections or popularity votes of who's going to win the big game, right? We think our voice matters then, but we don't think our energy and our healing matters in terms of the world that we live in. Like we continue to validate the greed, the corruption, the manipulation, and really the universal violations that are being conducted by the current power structure by continuing to participate in the things that they control and acting as if somehow if we do the same things, we get a different result. If we allow the pendulum to swing from this side to that side, somehow it's going to be better. It won't be better. The Native Americans are very in tune with nature. And here in northern New Mexico, I have many, many Native American friends and have been invited into many sacred ceremonies. And one of the things that they realize, and I've seen it in a meme, but if they see the unity of the corruption to where it's like, if you're going to fight for the right wing, you need to realize that, or you want to fight for the left wing, you need to realize that the right wing and the left wing are a part of the same bird. And so we all lose if we continue to participate, continue to give our energy. And that's the participation. It's if you continue to believe in these things, if you put your trust and belief, and ultimately you attach your emotional state of being into these things, well, then you empower them. Whether you believe in the right wing and you hate the left wing, you still empower the bird. I hope this is resonating with some of you. I don't know where this message came from. Oh, I do know where it comes from. It comes from the Most High. And it, obviously the opposite is true. If you hate the left wing and support the right wing, or if you hate the right wing and support the left wing, it's the same bird that you're giving power to. They're the same. Quit trying to lie to yourself that these things are not corrupt completely. And really, I've been having the conversations with a lot of people as to, I think we all feel like these things have run their course. They're kind of self-destructing. And that's what's beautiful. It's because they violate universal law that they're basically imploding upon themselves. But what's so important is during this time of turmoil is that people would use it as an opportunity to go within and to find the truth, to seek the truth, to see the light. And in order to see the light, that means you got to shine the light in some pretty dark places within yourself, because that's the only thing you actually have control over, is what's going on inside of you. That is your choice. You can continue to avoid and discredit your own purpose on this planet as if, like, what a waste of time. Meditation, sobriety, earthing, grounding, journaling, therapy. What a waste of time. That's boring. You know, when you're wounded, I feel like when I go back and I rethink about the wounded version of myself when I was like just full blown alcoholic, 7 days a week, just drinking, man, all the time around the clock. I remember, anytime someone offered me some good advice, maybe like a little bit of, offer to help me, or was even maybe just trying to reach me and say, hey man, pump the brakes. Like, I blew right past that shit. There were so many caution signs, warning signs. There were so many opportunities for me to not hit my rock bottom. There were so many, and I blew right past them. I ignored them. I flipped them off. I didn't care. I'm like, I don't, whatevs. I'm gonna keep doing this. So stubborn, so oblivious. But now here I am, and I turn back 14 years later after hitting that rock bottom, and I have a purpose and a mission to try and help many people to not have to hit that rock bottom, but to realize that whatever you've been doing in your life isn't working. Whether it's you've been protesting, whether you've been drinking, whether you've been, just all the things, the totality of your life, working around the clock, working multiple jobs, right? Whatever it is, lying, cheating, stealing, good things, bad things, all of the things. If you still sit there and you're just like, you're exhausted, right? That's the telltale sign that you are misaligned with your purpose on this planet. If you're exhausted, why are you wearing yourself out? Why do you keep doing the same old things? Just getting those really temporary hits of adrenaline, and we call them fun and excitement, and then it wears off, and it doesn't add to us. It takes. It's literally the thief that we've invited into our life to drain us. And that's definitely some pretty dark energy that I've also dealt with, because I believe in that dark energy. But the beautiful thing is that when you get to a place of clarity, you have total command and control. So you can clear yourself of all dark energy, and you can take your power back and your focus back, and you can really start to reinvigorate, resurrect the dreams of your life. I think I'm going to be posting, it's in tomorrow's video, but I did a walk here. I'm at my ranch. And this morning, it was such a beautiful morning. There was like a blizzard going on outside, and we haven't had a whole lot of winter in really the last 2 years. And I love days like that where it's like a snow day and I'm up here in the ranch and I just have these panoramic views and just the snow. And I was watching all the birds in the snow. And I was thinking about my dreams. When was the last time that you took time to think about the dreams you've had in this life? And I'm not talking about like the dreams from last night, the nightmares or the weird dreams that you've had from time to time. I'm not talking about those types of dreams. I'm talking about the dreams you had of what you could do, who you could become, something you wanted to experience in this life before the life ended. I'm talking about those types of dreams. And so I was thinking about my dreams. And, this is, again, a journal exercise that I will share with all of you that are here, especially those of you that are open and searching for some guidance and clarity on how to really figure yourself out. So I got out my journal and I started reflecting on the dreams that I had. And I started from the earliest dreams I had as a kid. And I'll share with you that, one of the first dreams I had when I was pretty young was I had a dream that I was going to be a professional baseball player. And, there was a lot of things that were showing that I had incredible talent. I had an arm that was special. I had a bat that could blast moonshots as a little kid. And I had a lot of coaches and even semi-pro professional athletes that were, coming into my life and mentoring me and grooming me and really trying to prepare me for taking a lot of different steps in that direction and level. And when I was in my sophomore year of high school, I was already getting Division I scholarship offers to some pretty big time schools. And I was a three sport athlete: baseball, swimming, and football. And the interesting thing is I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about my dreams. And I remember as a kid, I had a dream that I was going to be a professional athlete. Well, an interesting synchronicity was I remember being in a football game. It happened to be on my birthday, which is November 7th. And it was about a minute before halftime. And I was playing on the defense, outside linebacker on the right side. And they had called for us to go on a blitz. And so with my speed, I hit the gap, got through the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback was taking like a 7-step drop. And I wrapped up the quarterback to get the sack. And before you know it, the biggest guy on my team, this huge man, he was a man child. He hit me from the left side and the quarterback, and he like took us both out. So it's like I hit the quarterback, and then this dude came and wiped both of us out with a full head of steam. And in that moment, I felt the most excruciating pain of my life. And my left shoulder popped out of its socket. And, unlike a lot of things you see on television or if you've ever played sports, usually like a pretty significant injury like that, next thing you know, there's an injury timeout and they call the medics out on the thing and they, carry the guy off or cart him off. And it's like, I didn't let any of that happen because I still had my legs. I just couldn't move my arm and it was in the worst pain ever. And so we kind of got hit, rolled around, and I popped up and I was just like, but my instinct was to just run back to the sideline, and like I had a drop shoulder. I'm like, coach, and somehow in running and with the pads and all the gear, my shoulder popped back into its socket. And so I made it to the sideline, and I'm telling the coach, man, I don't know what the hell just happened. My shoulder popped out. And before you know it, one play later, it's halftime. And so we go into the locker room. The medics check on me. I tell them the story, and they say, well, you're going to need to go to the hospital to get x-rays. And so all low key, without really anybody other than my team and the coaches knowing, all the fans, it was a big stadium, big time game. I basically got carted off. I went off into the ambulance, into the hospital. And on the tail end of that, it changed my trajectory as an athlete. Like, that was a pretty serious injury. And so I landed up getting surgery. And the sad thing is within 6 months of getting the surgery, the first game of the next year, literally on the first play, it was a kickoff, my shoulder got dislocated again. And so I was like just in total despair, just like couldn't believe it, you know? And so where this goes for you is I sat there with myself today and I wrote down probably a dozen different dreams that I've had throughout my life, for my life. And some of those dreams went up in smoke. And I really felt the reason why I did this exercise through journaling was because there's some dreams that I have right now that are really big dreams. And I hope that there's some dreams that you have right now that are really big dreams. But the concern I had about myself and the concern that I have for you, and the reason why I'm sharing this, is that I don't want the fact that something in your past, a dream that you had long ago, not coming into reality. I don't want that to be the reason why you don't believe that the dream you have today can't be the dream that actually comes into fruition. And so what I did in this journal exercise is I wrote down just all these dreams. Like, that was one dream. I had another dream to be in military special operations, and that's another story that I won't get into extensively there, but it didn't happen. I had another dream to get married one time in my life and to raise a family and to just have the house and the picket fence and to live happily ever after, right? That didn't happen either. It's another dream that went up in smoke, right? I had a dream to be elected into a political position and be able to make a positive impact in the community from a position of power. That also didn't happen because, again, I'm a rabble rouser, as they dubbed me, and I'm somebody that has that rage against the machine mentality. But that doesn't mean that there aren't dreams that I had that did come to pass. And that doesn't mean that there's dreams that I have now that I shouldn't fully believe in. Because I do believe that just a tiny bit of doubt can literally hold you back for the rest of your life. And some of that doubt could be based on the fact that life circumstances didn't align. It didn't work out. Whatever you thought it was going to be, it didn't happen. And we need to learn how to make peace with these things. And this is what I did in this brief journal exercise, because I didn't just write out the dream, I wrote out forgiveness. And at the start of every dream that did not come into fruition, I forgave myself. Oftentimes I forgave God. And I also forgave people like this guy that blasted out my shoulder, you know? And obviously it was never intentional, but yet I just want to make sure that energetically that I can make peace with these things. And it's so important for us to sit with these stories about our life and realize that they actually the effects of your life, they linger until you really address it. And so I went through the list, and I also wrote down the dreams that I have right now to declare that these dreams would come to pass. And then I did something else for those of you that are really paying attention, as I just saw 55555. Five fives is pretty powerful for change and transformation. Let's all be in a spirit of change. Let's take the power of change and use it to transform ourselves. Choose to make changes in your life, make changes in your thoughts, make changes in your habits, make changes in your routines. Be about it. When you change, everything starts to change. And it all starts here. So the second part of this exercise is to write down all your dreams that you've had and to try and make peace with the ones that didn't come, to really sit with that. And then secondly, I wrote down 2 lists, and the first list was a self-evaluation as to what do I believe about myself that is not true. Now you have to really listen to that and sit with that. The second list was, what do I believe about myself that's not true? Do you have that kind of self-awareness, that kind of clarity, that kind of honesty with yourself? What do you believe about yourself that's not true? And so I wrote out a list of things that are limiting beliefs. That's what these are called, limiting beliefs. If you think that you're cursed, if you think you're not good enough, if you think you're unredeemable, if you think that there's a force that's against you, if you think that you're a bad mom or dad or son or daughter, if you think you're a bad worker, whatever it is, a human, those are not true. And see, that's another deeper issue, is that we can be so vicious to ourselves. We'll be gracious to strangers and people we want to impress, but we treat ourselves underneath the surface, inside this head, like we treat ourselves like the worst person. And so I wrote out this big list of I believe, I feel, and I just wrote down all of these feelings that I have about myself that are negative. They're thoughts that come up, they're doubts, just insecurities that I don't give power to, but if they're still coming up, I want to nip those and prune those away from my mind, from my energy. And I'm just, that's why journaling is so empowering for me as a practice, is because if you're trying to figure it all out in your head in 2026, oh my goodness, my heart goes out to you. You're so sweet. You're I mean, really, you're really just trying to figure out all of the complexities and chaos in this world and responsibilities, all of it in your head. You're just all mental. Like, I don't know how you get any sleep. trying to figure it out all in your head, because I'm a believer that every time you write it down, you get something that is coming up, day in, day out, morning, afternoon, and night, and you write it down. You just finally acknowledge it, give it its attention, give it its power, and you write it down. You take it out of here, you put it on the paper. So I wrote down all these limiting beliefs about myself. And when I finished writing out that list, I said, all these are false. I made a declaration. These are all false. And I wrote a statement that all of these, I declare that every single one of these is not true. And I do not identify with these beliefs about myself. And I signed it. And then I crumpled that piece of paper up and I threw it in my fireplace and I let it burn up. Then I wrote down a list of all the things I believe in myself that are empowering, that I believe I'm worthy. I believe I'm divinely aligned. I believe I'm supported. I believe that, wealth and abundance is a part of my birthright, right? I believe that for me to win, no one else has to lose. I believe that I'm worthy to be heard and to be seen. I believe that I'm lovable and loving and loved, right? I believe I'm an incredible father. I believe I'm an incredible son. I believe that I'm a difference maker on this planet, right? I believe that I have pure intentions and truly desire to make a positive impact on this planet, right? So then again, it's the polarity. It's saying, man, all these limiting beliefs, if they're coming up in your daily life, I promise you, they're impacting the results that you have to show for your life. They're giving you that little bit of doubt. If you have just this much amount of doubt where you do not fully believe in yourself, your dreams, your gifts, your talents, your thoughts, your ideas, your creativity, if you have this much doubt, it will literally hijack your entire purpose on this planet. You'll literally just stay stuck. And I'm here to help you do this, break free. And these exercises from the journaling perspective help. And so that what you do from then that point forward is I now have the receipts. I have receipts to say I've made peace with all the broken dreams that did not come to pass. There's forgiveness in all that. There's acceptance in all that. But there's also very much an ability to now let go and to be fully present. And then I'm giving myself reassurance that I am worthy for the biggest dreams that I can have right now to come to pass. I am worthy. You are worthy. We're all worthy. And that's a whole nother paradigm shift that needs to happen. Is we carry around such a heavy guilt complex that somehow we're not worthy. Somehow we should be punished for the mistakes that we've made, when it's like, no one, God, the universe, there is no one trying to punish you for what you've done. The only thing that is trying to get your attention is for you to acknowledge it, to make peace with it, and to forgive yourself and learn the lesson. Learn the lesson from the experiences. What is the spiritual lesson? How does the situation from your past, how does it integrate into your evolution as an eternal soul having a human experience on this planet? And usually there's deep rootedness in, it's the patterns. The patterns usually will show you where your wounding is, where your spiritual work is, right? Whether it's relationship issues, health issues, family issues, money issues. Those are usually the big three. they'll usually tell you what area you need to face with some real confidence and some courage, the areas of your life, especially when you can see reoccurring patterns throughout your life. This is the life review, which is something else that I teach and guide people through. And so I hope that each and every one of you tuned in here tonight realizes that you got way more power. You may not feel powerful. And maybe the reason why you don't feel powerful is because, again, all your energy is leaking out from the focus where your attention is in this world. And I'm a true believer that, look, the world's going to take care of itself. If you believe in a God, I promise you, God is going to take care of the world. If you're seeing nothing but chaos, it's okay. You need to just make sure that you can cultivate the spirit and the energy inside of you, that you are safe, that you are divinely protected, and that it's okay for you to disconnect from all the noises and give yourself a sabbatical to just spend some time looking within, figuring yourself out. And if any of you are interested in learning about how to journal, a system for journaling, even some goal setting and emotional healing, I have an incredible product that I launched this time last year. It's called the Results Kill Excuses 1% Better Everyday Journal. It's a 4-volume series. Each volume is 91 days. It literally is so simple. It makes journaling fun and easy, which a lot of people just don't like to just free write. And I get that. So this can help you to at least start the process. And if it's something you're interested in, you can go to the website resultskillexcuses.com and click on the 1% Better Everyday Journey link, and you'll find out how you can purchase it there. Probably the most valuable part of the 1% Better Everyday Journal is in it with the corresponding app is I have recorded over 100 videos so far, which are basically one-on-one coaching sessions from me that are packed into various days throughout the journal process. And so you get an entire year worth of coaching within that, with me teaching you about specific subjects like overcoming self-sabotage, how to celebrate wins from a spiritual perspective without sabotaging your success, and so many more subjects, especially focused around self-sabotage, self-improvement, self-discovery, all the way through self-mastery. So if that sparks any interest, I highly recommend you check it out. Take your power back. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in here tonight. Sometimes I just feel like getting on here, and I'm grateful I got on here tonight. I think this has been a very, very powerful message. So for those of you that truly resonated with it, give yourself a high five. Really sit with this message. Maybe listen to it a few times. You never know what else may resonate with you. If you're interested in any kind of one-on-one coaching, feel free to reach out, greg@resultskillexcuses.com. And as a final bonus, the first time I'm publicly announcing, I will be launching a 6-week Results Kill Excuses accelerator program that is limited to 5 to 8 people, that starts in mid-April. And so that's just an initial announcement. There's going to be a lot more information coming out very soon on the accelerator program. And so I just wanted to spark your interest that there's a lot happening here. And that means there's a lot happening here within my heart, within my mind, within my soul. And I hope that you will begin your own process of healing, that you will start to do the work alongside me. Start to believe in yourself, break free from the noise, break free from this world of chaos, and start envisioning the new world, a world of harmony, of a world where we are truly unified and there's not neglect. I think neglect's a powerful word. That we don't neglect each other, that we don't neglect others, that we really look out. It's kind of my heart. It's been my heart in business. It's been my heart through many, many acts of service. I've always had a willingness and a heart to look out for others. And I believe that when we really channel that spirit, that's when the world starts to shift. That's when we take the power back. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you all the best this year. I truly, truly hope that a year from now, you can look back and be proud of yourself, be proud of the work that you've put in, because I'm telling you, every morning, every day, every week, every month that you invest in you, in your growth, in your healing, in this journey, you get to reap all the benefits of that. And the beautiful thing about when you reap, you can then sow. You can sow. And by that, I mean you're going to be able to actually impact and inspire a lot of people. We are all called to really be an example, to be a role model, to be love and not fear. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg